Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Professor's Kitchen. Today I am taking an already pretty easy recipe for sweet potato shepherd's pie, and I am making it even easier. I'm going to start off with some ground beef, and I'm going to brown that in my Pampered Chef rock crock so that I can slide the whole thing in the oven without having to use a separate casserole dish. The oven is already preheated to 375 degrees. My rock crock is getting hot, and I'm going to add a little bit of coconut oil spray to the bottom of the pan just to keep it from sticking. I'll then add my ground beef to the pan, but you can, of course, use ground beef, ground pork, a combination of the two, ground turkey if you want, or some sort of a meat substitute. It all depends on your diet, your preferences, but my family likes to eat real meat. So we're going for the ground beef in the pan today instead of the ground beef and pork together. As always, I'll go ahead and link the full recipe in the description box below so you can make the necessary modifications for your family. Or for yourself. This would probably last the average person quite a long time in the refrigerator. You'd have lots of leftovers, so make sure to share. Again, to save myself some time and make it a little bit easier on myself, I'm going to add in pre-diced green onion and garlic, as well as diced red and white onions into the mixture. And then I'm going to mix that all up and make sure that the meat is completely brown. The veggies are all defrosted in there. And just let that simmer for a little while until everything is nice and soft. Usually about 12 to 15 minutes to get it nice and brown before I start adding in the other things. The nice thing about shepherd's pie is you can really kind of put any kind of vegetables that you want in there. If you like carrots, you can do diced carrots or peppers. We don't particularly care for peppers, but if you like peppers, you can use peppers in there. Just about any kind of vegetable tastes pretty good in a shepherd's pie. My husband decided to take these, and on the second day, he made tacos out of the stuffing. He used the shepherd's pie as stuffing for a taco. All right, the meat is kind of brown, so now I'm adding in some already riced cauliflower and broccoli. And then to that, I'm going to also add some green peas and mushrooms. And this is just one of those steamer packs of mushrooms and green pepper, or mushrooms and green peas that are already together. There's not a whole lot of seasoning in there just yet, but we're going to add some seasoning to the mix once everything gets nice and hot and all of the veggies are nice and soft. As always, I'm a bit OCD, so I'm cleaning and cooking at the same time. Don't judge me. All right, so that is just about mixed up, and the recipe actually calls for adding in tomato paste and water along with the seasonings and salt and pepper. But because I didn't have any tomato paste and I was just going to have to dilute the tomato paste anyway, I decided to add in my seasonings there, which are the cayenne pepper, salt, and regular pepper. And then I added in regular tomato sauce, the diced tomatoes, to that. So once that's all mixed in there together, you can really kind of just let it simmer for a little while. And I will say that I cheated a bit on the sweet potato topping for this, so you'll see that in just a moment when I add in the sweet potatoes. I've already pre-cooked them in the slow cooker, and that is a pretty easy thing to do the day before. You can just wrap them in foil, put a little bit of butter on the inside of the foil, and then sit them in the slow cooker and kind of forget them for the day, to be honest. And the great thing about doing it this way, is that instead of having to peel potatoes, you literally can just peel the skin off. So these have been cooked again in the slow cooker and then refrigerated overnight, and the skin just peels right off. So it makes it a lot easier than taking out a potato peeler and peeling the skin off of the potatoes, which is not my favorite thing to do, like ever, ever, ever. So I'm gonna get the skin off the potatoes and then dice them up a little bit before I put them into my chopper. And they get kind of mashed up a little bit, just enough. There are a few kind of chunks in there. If it's still a little bit chunky, that's fine. It doesn't really matter. But you can put this into a food processor or a blender. It's entirely up to you. I put it into this food processor today. I didn't use my manual food processor today because the kids were running around. They're already awake, so it doesn't really matter if I make a bunch of noise. You'll probably see my son pop into the picture in just a moment to survey the situation. To that, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of coconut oil. And for whatever reason, I could only find the half a tablespoon scoop. So you'll see me put 2 scoops in there. I'm not actually putting too much in there. It was just enough, but I did have to use that instead. I'm adding to that some more cayenne pepper for the topping. And I will say that adding this much cayenne pepper was probably not the best idea for making something for the entire family. It turned out to be too spicy. There's the little guy. It turned out to be too spicy for the kids to eat, so I had to make them a separate dinner. But it is all mashed up and now ready to put on top of the meat and veggie mixture, which has just been simmering while I sort of mashed up the sweet potatoes. This whole recipe from start to finish probably took about 20 minutes. So I'm not sure what I could have done to make it any easier than it was. But definitely, if you aren't a fan of spice, or if you're going to be feeding this to the kids, you may want to either completely omit the cayenne pepper or use less of it than it says to use in the recipe, because it ended up being way too spicy for the kids. All right, so that topping, I'm just going to spread it all over and make sure that it coats before I slide it in the oven. And then about 15 to 20 minutes later, it comes out of the oven. I left it in for a little bit longer. The recipe says to leave it in for about 10 minutes, but try to leave it in for a little bit longer to make sure that that topping got nice and bubbly. And once it's out, it looked so good. I could not wait to dig into it. It was absolutely perfect. It came out so good. It smelled so good. It tasted even better. I love the cayenne pepper taste in there. Like I said, it was too spicy for the kids, but it was perfect for my husband and I. And that is it. If you like this video, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching.